morning everyone, and welcome back to another video. In this video I'm going to be discussing the correlation between the Titan Atlas and how this particular Greek mythology relates back to, once again, the story of Christ. Now, when analyzing the story of Atlas, he was condemned by Zeus to uphold the sky and hold the weight of the sky so that there may be a divide and a foundation pillar between heaven and earth. And now you see the weight of this divide rests on the shoulders of Atlas at that particular moment. Which now, when we see the correlation that Atlas was actually punished or condemned as his brothers, Prometheus as one of the other of the Titans. In the punishment of the Titans during the Titanomachy, which is the wars of the Titans which the gods had to fight against. And so during the war of the Titanomachy, Zeus essentially condemned the Titan Atlas, to uphold the weight that separates heaven from earth. And now when we see the story of Christ, he whom died for the world's sins, and when we see the bearing of the cross, how much weight do you think that cross would weigh on your shoulders? And what does the cross symbolize, if not it be the upholding pillar of the foundation, that which upholds the pillar that separates heaven from earth, if you wish to understand the correlation here. And now when you see the idea that the Titan Atlas is not just condemned for a period of time, but for thousands of years. How long is the Titan in place for? Because now, if I may introduce a new concept of faith, I would like to arise this particular notion. In the ascension of man, in his place in the cosmos, and what we represent as a divine division of the same pattern, this essentially means that on earth we are technically the most divine in this particular realm. But where does the ascension go beyond the human experience? Well, then you would begin to see the experience form in the shape of the gods. And then from the gods, you would then further ascend into a Titan. And from a Titan, you would then ascend into a celestial. And you see these different formations that even in the cosmos today, you see certain manifestations that resemble essentially what is known as the Matrix. The web mechanism we are all correlated by. The repetitive pattern of the same experience, simply in different worlds, which we learn to ascend the moment you begin making the right decisions or taking control of your life. And beyond this point, you now see that in the human experience, you can actively connect all of these particular points into one. until you become he who holds the world together, the dreamer. And through this ascension, we now begin to see that in the Kabbalions' discussion of levels of consciousness according to the different states of existence that are present on Earth, such as plant levels of intelligence, which they themselves can ascend to a more human-like experience. Then we see animal experience, which they themselves can ascend to a human-like experience. And then we see humans, which they themselves can ascend and experience not only just plant and animal levels of consciousness or experience, but we now have to see where the next stage goes, essentially, in the next evolution. And this is where we enter in the higher realms beyond that which is just a three-dimensional plane, such as entering a fourth and fifth and sixth dimension. And through this ascension process of the metaphysical, you then begin to see that mythology is in essence the explanation. Every little written text written in ancient times spoke of this particular process, whether it was worded one way or another. It is simply one song with many truths. It is the same repetitive pattern in all of existence, which they themselves, the gods, would have higher levels of consciousness to arise to, which then the Titans would have higher levels of consciousness to arise to then celestials, to then a dreamer. And then when we arrive at the dreamer is where the last stage we have yet to come at this particular time in our ability to ascend, because that is as far as I have gotten in my own experience in being the dreamer of reality. And so, to what level of insanity would you say the psyche of the mind goes? Well, does it sound insane to you to believe that there is actually power inside yourself? And you are becoming aware of it. And when it is time, and you will know when it is time, because you will have your entire life to figure it out. But eventually one day you will arrive upon a particular man. And of that particular man, you'll begin to see the alignment of time. And that particular man was known as Pakal. Thank you.